I'm Dr. Manny Rosa. I am one of the directors for research and education in CFAM, and I'm an academic adult hospitalist board certified in internal medicine. So my practice setting is in the Division of Hospital Medicine at the Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore, where in the School of Medicine, I currently hold the rank of instructor in medicine, but my promotion to assistant professor is currently pending and will take effect at some point this academic year. I'm originally from Indianapolis, Indiana, where I was born and raised. I went to undergraduate at the Indiana University Indianapolis campus, went to medical school at Indiana University School of Medicine. Then I did my internal medicine residency at Inova Fairfax Medical Campus in Virginia. After that, I made my way to Boston, where I was an academic hospitalist at Brigham and Women's Hospital from 2019 to 2022. And there I also was an instructor at Harvard Medical School. Stayed there and then moved to Baltimore in 2022, where I'm currently at Hopkins. My parents are from Quezon City and Quezon Province. So my mom is from Quezon City originally, and then my dad is from Quezon Province. So my clinical slash academic interest is clinical reasoning and clinical skills development, and particularly coming up with ways to assess and also create pedagogical methods for that. My personal ties to CFAM go all the way back to 2019, 2020, somewhere around that time, when at first I thought this was a spam account. I got a follow request from CFAM from Antonio, but it was followed up with a DM where somehow, some way he had found out about me and that, I'm Filipino American and a physician. So I got that particular request. And, we mutually followed each other for a number of years, but I really could not get involved in CFAM until much later. My initial career as a new attending was quite busy. I was principally working nights, and then when I wasn't working nights, I was teaching every other week at the medical school with the medical students. So I would do a shift, and I would get off shift, take a nap, and then teach principles of medicine. So that's the like physical diagnosis rounds basically in the afternoon, take another nap, and then do it again. So it was quite challenging for me to add something else to an already full plate. But then once I got to Johns Hopkins, I really wanted to invest more in my non-clinical interests. And as part of that, I had, wanted to revisit the idea of joining a cultural organization of some kind. And so I researched more about CFAM from all of the social media posts, particularly on Instagram and also the website itself. And that aligned with many of my values. I have always valued my heritage and I always have valued my family in particular. Because in my upbringing, if I can look back on it, we definitely foster a value of Bayanihan, which I certainly identify with in CFAM. So everybody in my family works together to celebrate things, um, to help each other out. I have on Google Images this famous painting in front of me that I'm looking at this right now just for inspiration. But it's a painting by a Filipino artist named Carlos Francisco that depicts about, as I'm looking at, I think 20 people carrying a nipa hut and trying to get it across town safely. So, that really is a metaphor for what we try to accomplish in CFAM, that we are all trying to achieve our unified goals. So we're all trying to become better clinicians, better educators. Um, we're all trying to make a deeper impact in our respective communities, especially the American community. And that is through, particularly in my role and in my committee, um, education and leadership, essentially through empowerment. So Bayanihan just really resonates with me. On the topic of Bayanihan, so my particular role is in education. And I always formulate my teaching style on empowerment, learner empowerment. So I'm not one to just impart information. I think of my team, or like particularly my learners, as we are that village trying to move this family from one part of town to the other. And that family, basically, we could think of as our patients, or we could think of that as the Filipinx community at large, effectively. And so, as we move this house from place to place, um, we're empowering each other. We're showing each other how we can bear that load together better. And so that holds true in the way that I like to teach and approach leadership in any team that I work with. So sometimes if you meet me for the first time, I'll joke with the fact that, hey, I'm from Indianapolis and I basically was born in the middle of a cornfield, which is not wrong because if you zoom out, you see the city of Indianapolis and it's surrounded by farm and rural areas. So I've not really been around a lot of people who look like us growing up outside of the home. I didn't really hear Tagalog outside of the home, or get to experience, the flavors of our food outside the home. And so I felt very much like, yeah, I'm an American, but I felt like I'm kind of a foreigner in my own land for a very long time, to the point where it wasn't something that I always celebrated. Not until I got to college where I started to be more involved in the American community, where I actually did start the Filipinx Student Association at Indiana University, Indianapolis, back in 2009. And that allowed me to network with our community, first in our university, where we started out just as a small organization because we kind of all knew each other growing up, but then we expanded our network to basically the entire Midwest amongst other similar organizations. And so instead of my Filipino heritage being something that I wanted to just keep to myself and in the walls of my home amongst my family and family friends, no, this is something that I proverbially wear on my sleeve quite proudly. Like even today, I have a CFAM pin on my white coat, and I always get a lot of questions from patients, like, "Oh, that pin looks really nice. Can you tell me about it?" And it leads to a conversation, and it leads to a story. And even right down to my name, sometimes patients will ask me, Della Rosa, are you Hispanic? And then I can talk to them about, our the colonial era in the Philippines and the history thereof. Um, it turns into a little bit of a 5-minute history lesson because it is a time and a space where we can celebrate the accomplishments of our community. Not just people that we hear about from pop culture or in the news, but also celebrate ourselves, really. And it's also an opportunity for us to reflect as a community, like what our needs are, particularly, and how we can give back to people back home in the Philippines. As it pertains to CFAM, this is also another opportunity for us to reflect on the same thing as well, like to learn about people in our community who are impacting healthcare, not just in our own community, but across the world, and get to know their stories and to think about ways in which we can do the same. Because I think, we don't have to be famous. We don't have to have a zillion publications or have like 1.5 million followers on Instagram to be part of a Filipino American History Month and to be celebrated. Like it all starts with us. As a physician, I think representation really matters. And I know this to be true from, my friends who are of other ethnic groups or other nationalities, that I can see the connection that the patients instantly make when, say, for instance, a Hispanic physician meets a Hispanic patient or an African American physician meets an African American patient. There's that instant rapport and that mutual understanding of a frame of reference that can't necessarily be replicated, simply through, one's bedside manner or, from the provider relationship. And I know that personally as well. Like anytime I run into Filipinx patients in the hospital, the moment they look at my badge and they look up at me, there's a level of comfort that ensues right from the start. Whether it's my patient who's a Lola or a Tita or a Tito, instantly giving me their HPI in Tagalog because they know that I'll understand it. Or they're like, "Oh, I don't know how to say this in English, but I know you understand. I think you understand Tagalog, so why don't I just tell you?" So there's that instant trust. And for me, as their provider, I instantly envision them as, well, what if that is my Lolo or Lola? Uh, and that instantly allows me to build that connection right away, right away. So it really matters, especially if we are, underrepresented in the physician community. And the same thing holds true for learners as well. Um, like if I run into a Filipinx American medical student and they have a role model as well, and I can be that for them because I know that in my training, I don't really know other Filipino physicians, very few actually, who are not family friends or my own relatives. And I'm hoping that through CFAM, we can start to inspire our community to empower more learners from our community to enter into this profession because, I think it's really a joy and a gift every day to be a physician and to have this role in people's lives.